Annyeong, so I'm back and this time we will be discussing managing workflows and conducting job analysis. Now, with the changing nature of commerce and workflows, organizations are having to rethink jobs and processes to accommodate the global and technological aspects of change that is very much affecting today's workplace. Now, the workforce of today is considerably different from the workforce of the last decade. Now, it is very evident, no, the changes in the workplace and the workforce from 1920s up to 2020. Now let's take a look at what managers and HR staff must consider when developing and managing workflows and job analysis. So this topic will be the coverage of our pre-final examination. Now the learning objectives of this uh, modules are the following. Number one, describe bureaucratic, flat, and boundaryless organizational structures and the business environment in which each is most appropriate. List the factors influencing worker motivation that are under managers' control. Apply flexible work designs to situations in which employees have conflict between work and family, or employers face fluctuating demands for their product. Another is develop policies and procedures to protect human resource information system data so that the employees' privacy are maintained. Now, this is really very important because we naano ba tayo wala o dun kanang the Privacy Act. So, kamo mga HR, di mo sig jama-jama, patatakag hatag og data. And last is conduct a job analysis and prepare job descriptions and specifications. Now, by the end of this module or video, I hope that we will be able to discuss these things. Okay? Okay, so the powerful forces of technology. Now, we all know how powerful technology is nowadays. And as well as the global competitions are forcing managers to rethink, all aspects of business. That the market is now very much competitive. That's why managers should always be sharp when it comes to rethinking about all the aspects of the business. The result of rethinking business means that companies are changing the basic work processes, job requirements, job expectations, and of course, organizational structure to accommodate today's workplace. In this module, we will look at the various organizational structures that will fit the new workplace demands. The work can be viewed from three different perspectives. Now, there is what we call the organizational perspective, the work groups, and the individual employees. Now, we will try to examine each of these perspectives and their implications or their impact for the human resource management. Now, we will also look at the ways in which jobs are designed and look at how to conduct a job analysis. Additionally, in this module, we will look at the necessity of the organizations needing to accommodate a flexible workforce. Is it really necessary to adapt flexible workforce, or would it be enough to stay within the rigid workforce design? Work design. And then finally, we will also learn about the human resource information system. Okay, so as I have said, mentioned before, or just a while ago, there are three ways that you can view the word work in the perspective of the organization, in the perspective of the groups or by your departments, and at the perspective of the individual. Now we will look at the first one, which is the organizational perspective. Okay, so when we say workflow, this refers to the way work is organized to meet the organization's production or service goals. So kung kag workflow, how work flows. Bitaw. Marbag, how is a business organized in order to meet its production or service goals? So, we all know that in a business, before pa ka start, of course, you need to set goals. So, ang workflow is how you're going to design the work, the processes within the business in order to meet that goal that you have set. Diba? So, kung na kay goal, of course, na kay set or plan of actions na diha ang workflow na butang. So, when we say organizational structure, so na naman ka, this is my workflow. In order to get this goal, I need to have this and that. Dapat ingani ang mahitabo, dapat ingani ang trabaho, dapat ingani ang process. And then, with that, there should always be an organizational structure to support your workflow. Okay, so organizational structure refers to the formal or informal relationships between people in the organization. How do you structure your organization? Is it rigid? Is it friendly? Is it boundaryless? Is it flat? Is it bureaucratic? So there are ways that you can organize your, you can structure your organization according to each function or functionability. Okay, so organizational structure, as I have said before, supports the workflow. No, now organizational structure impacts how much of how an organization's processes, communication, and relationships are managed. Now, aside from that, organizational structures are designed to best meet the nature of the type of organization and industry in which it competes. For example, now the Whole Foods will have a more flatter structure with decision making at the horizontal level, whereas the U.S. Army will have a more hierarchical structures that meet a more bureaucratic needs. So, ang imong organizational structure should depend, no, on the industry in which your business operates. Ang imong nature of job is nagkinahanglan og rigid monitoring, ari ka sa flat, ari ka sa boundaryless. So your organizational structure will not fit with your workflow. So, for example, anyway, nag-una na po kong discuss. We will discuss that later on in this video. Okay, human resource strategies should support both the workflow of the organization and the organizational structure. Dili pwede og dili siya mo support. Or else, why mahitabo sa inyong business. Okay? Okay, so let's go to strategies. Okay, an organization develops a business strategy. Okay, let me ask you a question. Why is it important for business to establish strategy? Be. So that will be your assignment number 1. Why? What is the importance of a business strategy? Now when I say business strategy, it is an established set of long-term goals based on, first, an analysis of the environmental opportunities and threats. And second, a realistic appraisal of how the business can deploy its assets to compete most effectively. Now, when it comes to strategies, there are two types. Now, I think I have also mentioned this from the previous module, diba? The defender and the prospector strategy. Now, the business strategy selected by management determines the structure most appropriate to the organization. Whenever management changes its business strategy, it should also reassess its organizational structure. So they go hand in hand. Okay. I hope that you still remember that in the previous module, no, a company would select a number one defender strategy when it is competing in a stable market and has a well-established products. For example, a regulated electric utility company might adopt such a strategy. Now, under a defender strategy, work can be efficiently organized into a structure based on an extensive division of labor. Of course, with hierarchies of jobs assigned to a functional units such as customer service, power generation, and of course, accounting, and among others. Okay, so mo na si Jai, asa man eh, mo na Jai defender strategy. Asa to ni Jai effective in a stable market and has a well-established product. Now, prospector strategy, when the organization is operating in an uncertain business environment, meaning to say volatile ang business environment, now that of course requires flexibility. When companies are not flexible within their market environment, rest assured nga nag-augma close na imong business. When you operate in an uncertain business, you have to make sure that you are flexible. Now, the types of companies operating in this environment are experiencing rapid growth and launching many products or many new products, I mean. Now, in companies with a prospector strategy, control is decentralized so that each division has some autonomy to make decisions that affects its customer. When we say decentralized, kaya naman pa, unsa ng centralization and decentralization. Nadyo ni sa inyong principles of management. It would be so sad if you do not remember what is centralization. What is the difference between centralization and decentralization? Mahala na mo ang nagpangita o ano mo nakahinumdum. Di na ako mo discuss because you're wasting my precious time. Charot. Okay. Okay. So, in prospector strategy, it is more flexible because they are operating in an uncertain business environment. It should always be flexible. So, management selects HR strategies to fit and support its business strategies and organizational structure. Okay? Nasabtan? Nakuha? Kung wala, re-enroll. Charot. Joke ra. Okay. We are still in organizational perspective, no? So let's go to designing the organization. When we say designing, how do you design? How do you structure your organization? What is the form of your organization? What's the purmas mong business? Is it triangle, oblong, square? Charot. Bitaw. When we say structure, of course, this gives form to your business, diba? What is the form of your business? So, basig, wa pa may undan. Mugawas na laman mo, manarbaho na laman mo. Yung pinakalit ay yung CEO. Okay, can you help me? Okay, Mr. Charva Bells, can you help me think what type of form we're going to give to our business. Pitok-pitok ang mata. Taya, unsay form? Unsa man ang form? Mo ko gidiskussan inganing form. Okay ba ingani? Oh my God. Diba? So, how do you design your organization? What are the forms you're going to give your organization so that they will function at its best? Of course, when you give form to your organization, it should there are a lot, like a lot of factors that you're going to consider. So we will try to discuss. Actually, this is just a review, no? Just an overview of your previous, like in first year pa nga subject. This has been discussed. Ano Nahirob daw mayog. Kalimot man ni ma'am kay it's a long time ago in Bethlehem, ma'am. Di na ma-store kay puno na kayo akong brain cells. Sana all puno ang brain cells. Okay. So there are three types of designs that you can opt to adapt for your organizations. Now, the first one is bureaucratic. The second one is flat. And the third is boundaryless. So with this, mag-acknowledge the idea, no? Bureaucratic. Sige naman dyan magsod o kuan siguro kanang mga government offices. More than a bureaucratic. Okay. Flat. Murag lobot. Charot. Flat organizations, boundaryless. Meaning to say, what is a boundary? Bitaw. Now, these are several ways to structure your organization. Now, the structures that we will be addressing in the following slides are just as standard examples of how you give form to your business. But in reality, of course, it's up to you, managers, HR managers, how you're going to form. Do not limit yourself with these three structures. Kay pwede man ka mag-create og imuha. Mukha ka a little bit of bureaucratic, a little bit of flat, a little bit of boundaryless, as long as it works best for your organizations in order to sa inyong goal so to inyong purpose nga nung nag-business mo, of course, to reach your goal. Of course, not just the profit. Okay? Designing an organization requires choosing of organizational structure that will help the company achieve its goals most effectively. Kay pwede man nimo ma-achieve ang imong goals anytime, pwede. But in a business, you need to be specific and effective and efficient. So mauna, you need to design your organizations that gives you the advantage of achieving your goal in a most effective and efficient manner. Okay? Now we will be discussing each of these three on the following slides. And now remember, this is not an in-depth discussion of the three designs of organizations. This is just an overview because, as I have said before, this has been discussed in one of your subjects. I think murag na-discuss na sa principles of management. I don't know if you still remember. Bahala po mo ka remember. Wala akong pake. Charot. Okay, so the first one is bureaucratic organizations. Now, bureaucratic organizations or organizations that adopt this defender business strategy are likely to choose bureaucratic organizational structure. So, remember mo sa katong defender and defender and prospector. So, defender strategy would most likely adopt the bureaucratic ano, structure. So, kung defender ka, kasagaran sa mga defender strategy would adopt the bureaucratic organizational structure. This structure consists of hierarchies with many levels of management. It uses a top-down or command and control approach. When we say top-down, the command comes from the top down to the bottom. So, mo na ilang style, mo na ilang approach to management in which managers provide considerable direction to have considerable control over subordinates. Now, you can expect in bureaucratic organizations to have this strict, no, supervisions by managers. Okay. A bureaucratic organization is based on a functional division of labor. If you remember what division of labor is, employees are divided into divisions based on their functions. So, kung kag what is unsay function ni most organization, iusa na sila kani tigtagay, kani tigpalit og nga na pulutan, kani tigluto sa pulutan, kani pa sila tighipo sa suka. So those are the functions that we meant, no? So in a bureaucratic organization, imo na sidyang i-group together. The employees are grouped together according to their function, not their skills. Bisan pag di ka kaadyo kamamhinlo og suka, but that is the functions that you are given. Naghipos kag suka, wari kas kuan, kanang division nga tighipos og suka. Okay? Now, this works best in a predictable and stable environment. Of course, kung may kakaroon nga gi-divide nimo ang imong organizations according to their functions, that means there are no evident or challenging changes in your market. Your environment. Your environment is predictable and stable, or else dili mo work ang imong bureaucratic environment. In bureaucratic environment, it is highly centralized. Centralization ang ilang gi-adapt and depends on frontline workers performing repetitive tasks according to manager's order. In a dynamic environment, in a very dynamic environment, this structure is less efficient and sometimes disastrous. Now, here are the key characteristics of bureaucratic. Now, top-down management approach, many levels of management, hierarchical career paths within one function, highly specialized jobs, narrowly specified job descriptions, rigid boundaries between jobs and units, employees or individuals working independently. Okay? Okay, so mo na siya ang bureaucratic. An example of bureaucratic are they kanang kuan. Sa government employees ba? Bureau of kakuan mo na, the Bureau of Chova. So they adapt this organizational structure. The government adapt this organizational structure. Okay, the second one is flat organizations. Naman ay tayo picture no. This is how bureaucratic works. So, the general is the top decision maker. So, si Jai mo decide, ijay ipanghatag nganhe, jay hatag po dire, i-distribute dire, until such time, mo abot dire sa last line of authority. Okay? Now, let's go to the flat organization. Now, an organization that selects the prospector, di ba ang ganina kay ang, unsa to? Unsa? Balik. Balik ta. Kane, unsa to ganina? Kane or kane? Unsa to? Kane or kane, ang ganina, bureaucratic. Kane. So, ang flat organizations or an organization that select this one prospector strategy is likely to choose the flat organizational structure. So, mo ni si ijang bet mag-feel ni this organizational structure would work best in a prospector strategy. Strategy lagi. A flat organization has only a few levels of managers and emphasize a decentralized approach to management. Kung ang ganina centralized, ang flat decentralized. Now, flat organizations encourage high employee involvement in business decisions. Now, flat organizations are likely to be divided into units or teams that represent different products, services, or customers. The purpose of this structure is to create independent small businesses that can respond rapidly to customers' needs or changes in the business environment. For example, Johnson& and Johnson, a manufacturer of healthcare products, is organized into more than 200 operating companies that are located in 57 countries. Now, when we say flat organizations, they have this kanang murabag if there is an organization, say for example, Johnson& and Johnson has a factory or has an organization in Maasin and also in Macrohon. So, Macrohon has a different decision-making process. Dili siya mag-agad sa Maasin. Whatever will happen in Macrohon, if ever they face problems, sila na mo solve. Dili lang sila yun, huy, Maasin, unsaon naman ni? Kanang na ay, giuli man ang kanang mga pulbos, kay kuno, bahong isda. Unsaon man ni namo? Di na mo ingon. They have to solve their own problem. Okay, they are, when we say flat organizations, they are a set of independent small businesses. When we say independent, they can manage their own business unit and solve their own problem. But of course, they are still so na kinahanglan gyapon silang mo report to, of course, to the main office. So meron sa og mga little branches, independent little branches. Do not confuse it with kanang mga branch gajud nga kuan gihapon, gina-monitor gihapon, centralized gihapon ang decision making. I have an experience with kuan unsa man to nga sa Cebu nga kuan siya nga naguba ang ahong phone. Di sila maka-adyo or di sila maka-cater sa problem because they still have to wire the Manila office. So, ug imong tan-awon mura siya og flat organization, di ba? Kay na ay branch diri or sub-unit dinhi sa Cebu. But ang glitch ra nga nakain ko nga they are not operating in flat organization or a flat structure because they cannot decide on their own without informing the head office. Morbag maghuwat sa sila unsay mando sa head office usa pa sila maka take into action. Now, flat organizations do not operate like that. That is for bureaucratic. no, basta gid po literal nga ay kana deng na yung mga kanang na ay kuan mamo din ay flat kanang na yung mga branches bisit pud nang sa government kanay kane Bureau of kanang Education and Survey Bureau of usa din na sila nga di man do not look at the physical. It's how the management are working. Okay, pasig pareha pud mo sa akong previous nga students ha nga mo ilang pagtuo kanang branches ko ande na flat automatic na flat nalabad si we're not talking about the physical naman dyan yung mga branches of course so do not look at that ako ra mong giunhan kay basig aroy mawindang napugog na yung question about regarding that ansiran kog wala dayong kuan mo man na flat man na kay kanang branches man aroy Ginoo ko okay naman sa look at how the management is operating so that is an example that is not an example of a flat organization kanang di sila maka-decide on their own when we say flat organization they can decide on their own so kato yung atong hitabo na ho nga nagubahong phone and then ako siyang gihato dito sa ilang store for kay covered pa man siya sa kanang warranty so if it is operating in flat organizations they could have do something about my phone and then ila na i-report marbag naghatag kanang case number 1 kang daklan nga phone naguba so among giilisan sumo na sir nami uli sa main branch nga usa ka cellphone nga guba kay mao na ang kuan mao na giilisan na mo ang customer kay guba day um kanang defective ang phone nga iya nakuha. Kaya nga na ba, do you get what I mean? Instead of mo inisag, ma, maghuwat para batag 2 to 3 months kay amo pa man ang i-wire dito sa main office kung sa ilang decision. No, there is now the difference when it comes to decision making. They cannot decide on their own. That is not a flat organizations. Flat organizations decide on their own and they're just going to report what is happening in their business unit. No? Okay? I hope nasabta na jud kay laway-laway na gyud ko explain. Oh my god. Okay. So, the flat organizational structure reduces some of the boundaries that isolate employees from one another in a bureaucratic organizations. The flat structure works best in rapidly changing environments because it enables management to create an entrepreneurial culture that fosters employee participation. At tanawa tong ahong example. Now, because if they only operate in a flat organizations, masulbad nila dadyo ng problema. 'Di ba? Kay maingon man ang manager sa kadto nga branch nga sige ilisin naman na dyan record ha nga bad ko an chorba whereas mayroon sila nga maghuwat para bang 2 to 3 months dili pa sa photo na ikaw wala kay cellphone nalabad si diba so there would be a yaw with the customer no, because they're now not satisfied kung madyo laman actually mo na hong yaw madyo laman mo mupalitay pa ko kay kusog kay mo ana ay kukuan kay ni siya mo na bla 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 sis bomba di karon nga nanay problema when in fact it was actually a technical problem no nga na ako ni 2 to 3 months o di yaw sa manang but I cannot do anything about it because that is their process bisa pag magwala ko dito sa ilang hapit na jud ipacharot murag na ikabayad ang lami na kadyo ipanglabak ay bis ka excited ako mag selfie kay bago kong phone di ko ka selfie kay it's not working so bisang sawa ni mo kay mahimo because that is their process you cannot alter any process of an organization just because you're not satisfied so mo na the next time ko dili na siya kong balik ani nga kanang na tindahan na oy and then when I have kanang mga kaistorya dauto na ko sina just sigpalitan ko ana ikay see the word of mouth okay kuha so here are the characteristics of a flat organization decentralized management approach few levels of management horizontal career paths that cross functions broadly defined jobs general job descriptions flexible boundaries between jobs and units emphasis on teams, strong strong focus on the customer. Now, as I have said before, a flat organizations is after on the focus on customer satisfaction. So this is how the typically, no, how a flat organizations look like. Different from bureaucratic nga, Jesus mercy, parang kadaghan ka adyong. Look at that. One decision making, so from here, kung may problema dire, part na ako'y problema diring dapita, kung saan ni na ho. Moagi sa dire, aproban sa nikuan, pirmahan sa ani, basahon pa ani, i-revise pa ani, o sa pa ni dya. So, decide sa, okay, go. Ngari na pod, channel dire, sulti dire, bla 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 ko tumabot dire. Imagine na pila ka tuig kabat gikapoy kus bureaucratic. Anyway, as I have said, bureaucratic is not a bad type of organizational structure, only that it works best on a stable and predictable environment. Kay bao naman ka, predict naman mo in a span of 1 year, why mahitabo ani nga problema? Wala, di na ko kinahanglan mo decide. Sunod na pod, next year na pod, bag-o na po na decision making for another business cycle. Kay productive naman nimo kay bawa na makangaway mahitabo nga problema. But in a dynamic environment, na pwede kay dugay ka adjong decision making. Abtan kay siyam-siyam, maupaw na lamas kuan, di pa ka decide. Okay? Okay, and the last one is of course the boundaryless organization. When we say boundaryless organization, it's a sort of combination siguro of these two, no? Okay, so aray. Okay, a boundaryless organizational structure enables an organization to form relationships with customers, suppliers, and or competitors. So imagine in boundaryless organizations, pwede mo build a relationship with your competitors, no? Ingon lagi sila, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, so you will know what they are up to. Even in business, it works, no? So dili ka dapat isnab ko ani kay competitor ni na si Delia, who has sana kanang resort in Padre Burgos, kinahanglan siya makig beso with the owner of sana Leyte Diverse Chorva nga kanang naga-offer pod og kanang same services offered by Delia. Tungod kay, of course, established connection, and of course pwede po kadtong akuan, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Pero kay ba si Delia nga, okay, nagplano ang Leyte Diverse nga magpaubos og presyo, mas ubsan pa jud na ho, kay aron mas daghan ko og mas daghang magpa-book diri sa akong castle kaysa Leyte Diverse, no? We can be friends, but of course, we have a different sa tawagan na kanang pamaagi strategy when it comes to business manipulations. Kami na, hala, makonsensya man ko, kay BFF man ko. It's business, by the way. Diba, ingon ta, when it comes to business, there are no families, no friends. Business, rajud siya. Okay? Asa mo ko dapit, ay? Okay, so, muna to lagi. In boundaryless organization, you can form relationship with customers, suppliers, and our competitors, either to pool organizational resources for mutual benefit or to encourage cooperation in an uncertain environment. Now, aside from keeping your friends close and enemies closer, now having an established relationship with your customers, suppliers, and even competitors give you a pool of organizational resources. Meaning to say, when we say organizational resources, so say for example, I need this kanang mechanic para sa hong bangka. Dilya for example, kinahanglan sa dilyag mekaniko para sa iyang bangka. Now, there is this particular offer from an outsider worth 50,000. O, kung ano na deal, kanang close na nga, 50,000, kami na'y bahala. Unsya, kay, na, Delia realized that since she has an established connection with the Leyte Divers Churva Churva resort, mas na sila diha. Pwede sa siya, hala, nasiguro na siya kailang mechanic or she has her own mechanic. So, iyang itawagan, hi, Bess, kanang, nali ko problema sa kuan. Can you recommend a travel siya? Mingon po ang kanong tag-ija sa Leyte Divers. Oh, yes, I have my own mechanic. I am rich. So, sige, hakang pa, huwa mo sa mechanic win the amount of, since because we are friends, 20 mil. So, imagine ni kuan kanang ginansya Delia could have kung ato just outsider. Now, that is what we call organizational resources for mutual benefit. Pwede pod nga ang Leyte Divers ka problema. Tess, I need additional crew. O pa kaday extra. May posibilidad, okay, sige, dahil akong additional crew. No? For mutual benefit or to encourage cooperation in an uncertain environment. Sumiga karon pak na ang kuan ni Delia ang kanang barko ni Delia kay ning terik sa tungas loud nagsinggit-singgit na ag kanang mga hapon kay nalisang kay naay dagkong bawd. So pwede ni Delia nga mingon pa sa slave driver, best please rescue my kuan kay wala ning andar. Oh, gigo jud ang iyang bangka. That is what we meant by organizational pool of resources for mutual benefit or to encourage cooperation in an uncertain environment. They could be competitors, but they work together for mutual benefit. Now, boundaryless organization structure break down boundaries between the organization and its suppliers, customers, or competitors. Now, klaro kayo sa akong mga example that the boundaries are broken, no? Kalmar ka mo kayo, best, kanang pa, kuani ko, bla, kanang, sana sendi ko, og mauni mauna. Tagay ko anig mauni mauna. I need this mauni mauna. Okay? Now, they also strongly, no, these boundaryless organizations also strongly emphasize teams. So, naapos a little bit of emphasis on teams, which are likely to include employees representing different companies in a joint venture. For example, a quality expert from an automobile manufacturing company may work closely with employees at one of the company's auto parts suppliers to train them in a specific quality management processes. So if you're going to this example ato ning adto sa Candilla, so pwede katong giingon ninyo nga pwede ang mekaniko sa katong Leyte Divers mao'y magamit ti Delia or og mi-hire po si Delia og iyang kaugalingong mekaniko but with less skills pwede si siya mukuha sa katong mekaniko ni Leyte Divers para i-train ang iyang mekaniko for a lesser price, of course, or even kanang ay for free. Kung pwede free, why not? Diba? So, ingana na siya. That is how boundaryless organizations work. So, if you can see in there kuan, kaning picture, graph, they are interconnected. There is no boundary. Kay mao lagi, boundaryless lagi, ma'am. Okay? Okay, nasabtan ang 3 types of organizational structure. I hope so. Okay, so boundaryless organizations are used when number 1, collaborate with customers or suppliers to provide better quality products or services. So, it's a happy lang may time, ani. Hindi, ginoo ko 44. We will end this kuan kay di na po ni masend sa G Drive. Another is are entering foreign markets that have entry barriers for foreign competitors or needs to manage the risk of developing an expensive new technology. And mao din ang tulo. That is how organizations use boundaryless, no? collaborate, entering new foreign markets, need to manage risk or risk management. Companies often use a boundaryless organizational structure, no, because they feel that it fits well with the environment. Now, the boundaryless organization is appropriate in these situations because it is open to change. It facilitates the formation of joint ventures, meaning to say, link, no? Di ba, in kung kanina, you have to establish relationship or links, no? Now, it facilitates the formation of joint ventures with foreign companies and it reduces the financial risk to any one organization. Okay? Okay, so, ato sa ning ikat, nasa naman eh, kay mag-record kog outro because it's already 48